So tell me a little bit about what made you decide to come to a 3-day workshop.
For me, I've been handling for a while, but was not confident in my handling skills, and I wanted to get better handling, and I also wanted my dog to have more confidence, as well as myself have more confidence. So that's why I came.
Have you shown her a couple of times? Or?
I have. She has 1 point. Woo.
1 point? Ooh.
Yeah, she is.
What was she doing in the ring that you weren't happy with?
She was unsure of herself and seemed to be easily frightened, and I was unsure of my skills, and she was fighting with me as far as trying to stack her. She was very difficult to stack, and moving and twitching and doing and blah blah blah. Movement was not a problem, but stacking was torture. So I really needed to get some help with that.
And Joe, what about you?
Well, I'd had Virgil since September. He'd been to 3 shows. One was a puppy match, which he won Group 2 at, which was the most fun show I had. And as the shows went on, the worse I got, and the less fun I got. And I realized, it was hard to find a trainer locally that seemed to be either available when I could do it, or there was very little. And I went online to YouTube, good old YouTube, and I saw Eric's workshop in Seattle. And then I saw the Australian one, and then I sent the Seattle a copy of a link to the Seattle one to Chris, and said, "Hey, look at this. This guy looks like he knows what he's talking about, and it's very interesting." And so it went from there, and Chris was enthusiastic and said, "Yeah, let's check into this." So we did it.
Yeah, and that's a lot of money you spent. I mean, with flying and renting a car and a hotel and things like that. Was it worth it? Be honest.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Why?
100%.
It's worth it for the confidence I feel in knowing what my goals are now and where I was doing things wrong. I haven't perfected anything, but I have a program.
You got a 9.5 out of 10 today. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Hey, I got a 10.
You got a 10. Yeah, so there you
I
go.
shouldn't be sitting so
That's
close
right.
to
You
her.
can go home now.
Move away.
Really nice.
The hotel has been great. The people here are definitely dog people. I've never seen so many dogs in my entire life in a hotel.
You would think there's a dog show going on.
This is what everybody has said. Yeah, is there a dog show in town? I said, I don't think so. I think we're all just here. All varieties, old, young, any type, mutts, purebreds, everything. Everybody's here. And the people behind the desk are phenomenal. They just are really, really accommodating to you. So this is a great place to stay if you've got a dog.
Okay, so the next morning you wake up and then all of a sudden Eric's sitting in a room. Take us through that.
Well, no, you walked in the door and gave us a hug.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that was
the opening.
Yeah.
And so then we sat down to a seminar that was 2 or 3 hours, I would say, and with a syllabus and a very detailed syllabus, and some nice articles, and but you went through it very systematically.
I thought that was amazing. For
really
me,
nice background on dog
interesting.
behavior and how they're put together, and then going into the rest of the syllabus. I mean, not the rest of it, half
The
of it, I
classroom
suppose.
things.
Sort of what you were going to introduce when we got to the practical, I believe.
In some of the things that were in the classroom, were there some things that shocked you that you didn't even consider that would be a factor in a classroom of training dogs?
Yes.
Like what?
Well, I mean, it sounds silly to even say it, but the respect and acknowledging that with the dogs, it is really funny when you're trying to get them to do something, and they're such bright animals. And I mean, that has been demonstrated to me aptly in the class when Annie looked at me today like, "What are you doing, lady?" They're so bright, they get it. I'm amazed 3 days later where she is from where we started. Yeah,
we went to the facility,
the training center.
the training center, and you introduced us to more to the nuts and bolts of showing, what the schedule was for showing, what the routine is, as you walk into the ring.
Well, you asked us, first of all, to go ahead and just walk into the ring as we would do. And that was a huge learning experience because, as you said, we both kind of schlepped in. We're like, what are you guys doing? Selling bananas? Or what? Certainly not showing dogs. What?
Right,
We didn't do that, right?
I mean, this is for real.
So, yeah. That was
So you learned the importance of looking good from the moment you stepped into that ring.
absolutely. And at each step, there's
Yeah.
you go into that ring to win. You do your down and back to win. You do your stacking to win. Every single portion, you've got to nail it.
She is good. I like that.
Well, you did. You
The
emphasized
facility that we used, Mind Your Manners Dog Training. Tell me about what you thought of the facility there.
Excellent. I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, it was
And
great.
Granted,
Nice
it was-
rubber mats on the floor, so it
Mhm.
wasn't just a concrete floor.
That was very nice.
Still could clean up plenty of puddles.
If your dog happened to go to the bathroom,
Yeah.
Your dogs
Yeah.
love going poop and pee there.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
seem
it was,
to.
it was clean, well lit place for
Mhm.
dogs and humans.
it did everything you needed it to
Yeah.
do. You
And-
could do
and
your
this-
down and back easily. You put the cones, so we learned to go in and out of the cones. Going around the room and avoiding stopping in the corners. I mean, the things that you've done for years, you didn't realize you weren't supposed to do, and how do you do it better?
If you were going to do this program again, what were some of the things that you would want to remind yourself to do differently or really focus on next time as far as the first day?
For me, I think the thing that keeps coming up over and over is to be very present and to be more, more focused on what it is that's happening right now. Because my mind tends to, I'm still thinking about what happened 10 minutes ago. And anyway, it's just shifting and focusing.
I almost would have appreciated being filmed that first day so that I could see. I know there's a huge difference, but I would love to see what a putz I was and what a friggin' star I am now.
I like to do stuff like that.
But that's
and I'd like
hard.
To do,
That's hard.
But you're already under the gun so much.
Yeah.
That's where it comes back to me. Whereas like, okay, the dogs come first. And I know that you'd be stressed out so much, or most people would be stressed out so much that it's like, I tend not
Being
to
right
do
on camera
Yeah.
the first day, yeah.
the first day.
Yeah, it's
And
just that it would be so
it
remarkable
would be
to
see the difference,
because
right.
You
For me,
really-
it wasn't really a problem because I looked often like I did the first day.
Right up until the end where you find where the light came
where
on.
you nailed it. When
Some of it. So
That's the only thing.
it's not just a rehearsal, it's a dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
It's a dress rehearsal.
And there's
You
a
just gotta
lot.
be
There
right
was
there.
so much information that first day. I know we both came away going, it didn't seem like we did a lot, but we were both pooped.
Yeah.
And the guys were pooped.
Yeah.
So you can understand that for a dog show, how much stamina you've got to have. And while you have said this over and over, but a treadmill or the various tools that will help you.
Yes.
I
Going
mean-
to the parks.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the things we did too. We went
We
to
went
a
to
park.
the park, yeah.
Tell me about that.
The park where I apparently had a brain spasm and forgot most of what I'd learned. What are you doing with your hand? I don't know. Don't yell at me.
Well, the park, I actually really enjoyed that part because
Yeah.
it was fresh
That's
air, and
nice.
there's something about being out in the open that allowed me to feel, I could walk way far away and just practice by myself,
you
know.
did.
And who knows how bad I was?
You
Who
did.
knows how bad I really was? But I felt like I was focusing on it.
Yeah.
And so, but just to back up a little bit, the technique that you're teaching is so different in terms of how to use the lead and how to promote the best gait, and it's really so just kind of absorbing the fact that how different that was, accepting it, and then trying to apply that.
Breaking the
was
bad habits that
very-
we've established.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that being the loose lead and using the hand signals, something that I think is super valuable.
What about
crucial?
What about in the situation where, like, one of the things I said at the very first beginning of the first day, take everything that you've known and learned and watched and read and forget about it. I mean, how important is that statement right there?
That's huge. That's huge.
It is huge, but it's a very difficult thing to do. I will say that, because just hitting the delete button, as you know, that can be hard to know what to choose, pick and choose.
Exactly.
And I don't think I'm having as much problem with it. I don't mean, that sounds harsh. I don't mean for it to
As me?
sound harsh.
Mhm.
Well, you have some different. I have issues. You have issues. And I'm not having an issue with like the loose lead. I'm having an issue with, okay, which way does my hand
Right.
go?
Right.
But it is so funny. Just
Well,
like I said, walking down the hallway, all of a sudden I realized Annie was too close, and I did it. And I went, oh, for God's sake!
And
It's
she
so
responded. She
simple.
responded.
Yes.
Instantly.
Yes, I think when I was in the classroom, I was like, no, am I doing wrong? You know, he's gonna yell at me.
Well, there's a matter of, for me, I've always been, despite some people saying, oh, you're so athletic, I'm not. I'm klutzy. And part of klutziness is not really knowing, if you're trying to do something with this hand, the other hand starts
Right.
working too. You can't separate them and be very skilled at isolating certain
Yeah.
movements. So my arms would fly up, So I'm really learning that that's so important to just be aware of your body and where it is and how relaxed it is. That's number one for me. To just a reminder to self.
Tell me about, a reminder to self, the importance of eye contact and the height of your hand.
Eye contact is a pressure on the dog. It's not just, okay, you'd think eye contact might be a good thing because it promotes the fact that you're working together and you're both on the same page. But it's experienced in the ring as pressure. And it's distracting for the dog. It's distracting for the human. So it's something one wants to do away with for the purposes of showing, for sure. And then the height of the hand is also can either be something that's perceived by the dog as
Lack of trust.
what I was going to say is either benevolent or benign or threatening, depending on how, as you said, how high it is or low. So when it's benign, that's just something they can use as a signal. If it's too high, it starts to become
Well, it also
Again.
tightens their leash. Tightens their
Right,
leash
which is
up, which is what you
one
don't want
reason
to do.
I was trying to raise it high, which is not what I'm supposed to do. So yeah.
What about the difference in steering a dog with a tight lead versus communicating with your hand and having a loose lead?
Well, it's a hard habit to break, because for me, when I learned how to do that, I liked that. I mean, a long time ago, I was just felt like, oh, I can do this. But then it was like, okay, forget that, because what you're getting is him fighting you all the time as soon as you get that. It's not like he's like understanding this is what I want him to do. So the signals and having him learn how to read the signals, where it's not a battle anymore, it's a dance, and there's communication there. So I really love that.
And unfortunately, in the Basset world, as we've established, a lot of what we see is the steering. You see that tight lead and you see the steering, even with the pros. So that's what we have both seen. I've seen it for many, many years. So it's just something bad you have to ignore and get away from it.
Did you see a difference in the dogs as far as them being happy with this versus the other way?
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
With Annie, as I've said, I mean, because she is just a puppy and we're just starting her show career. That was one of my primary goals, was to get her happy and relaxed and feel confident, because I think she is a really pretty little girl. And that's what I've seen. That's what I've seen in 3 days. But I've been doing it, and Joe does it too, we practice at these little odd moments, you know, as you're getting in the elevator, or if you're doing something, you're steering them.
Right.
And that's what it, I mean, it just takes that to click in and start using it every day. Going on a walk, going in the escalator. You know, like I just said, when I went out the escalator. Yeah, that would be good, Chris, if you had one. The elevator. And I went out to get the crates. I didn't realize that she had snuck out with me. Not on a lead, but right by my side. And I used my hand signals to say, come on, babe, come on, let's go back.
Mm-hmm.
She came right back, went in the room.
Doesn't that feel good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I took
Amazing.
Virgil out for a walk on I guess it was last night. Very tired after dinner, still light out.
Yeah, we had
But
the
we
parking
needed
lot.
to take him out, and I took him out and let him off lead when we were at this empty lot, and I walked him around. I had him follow me, and I used my hand signals, and he totally enjoyed it. I loved it. It was really fun.
The only collar I will train on is a flat link collar.
Absolutely.
And a 6-foot leather lead. And so many people say, oh, you're putting them on a choker. You know,
No.
talk to those people.
Not at all. Not a choker at all. It releases. It's probably the best thing I have ever seen. I'll never use anything else. That's
Well,
it.
it's really, it makes a louder sound than the other kinds of slip leads.
So it gives them a signal.
It
That's
gives
the
them
whole
that
point.
signal more quickly.
Mhm.
It's a way to get them to understand that there's a new move coming up, and heads up to watch the signal.
Mhm.
Really,
And it's just with
and
a flick of the
so
finger.
it's just a great tool.
Yeah, and you're just using your finger as a little vibration.
Yeah.
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 So it's loose, it's not tight on their neck, whereas opposed to the conventional style way of different collars are
It's-
choking them.
Pinching them and
Right.
pulling their hair and everything you don't want to do.
But some people say that's more humane because it's not metal.
No.
No.
Not at-
Well, there's
Not at
also
all.
the small metal chains, the smaller gauge ones, but those pinch the hair. They pull
Right,
the
they
hair.
pinch the hair,
Mhm.
they don't release as easy, they don't make any signals, they just slide. So there's no communication.
Yeah.
And that's why the flat links work so well. Okay, so now we're on day 3. We start off at the training facility. Tell me about that.
Well, a little bit of nervousness because it was going to be our final exam.
Mean Eric was there too.
Mean Eric,
Yeah,
that's right,
that's
drill
right,
instructor.
That's right. Well, we weren't sure if it was going to be Mean Eric or not. It was really kind of up to us.
Had to be tough. You had to be tough. And
That's right, it's
yeah.
my last day with you, I had to
So,
make
yeah,
sure.
it was just another lesson in being ready and being on and having a hard time with that lesson.
But when you get it,
Trying
it
to
is
pull it all
so
together.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we both happened to get it on the last thing, that was okay. Let's stop.
Eric wanted to finish on an up note, so.
Yeah.
We're gonna stop now.
How
was
did that
good.
feel when it all just came together?
Perfect. Every little step, though. I mean, because it all leads up to that. Every time, if you can get them, to do the. When we were free stacking yesterday was actually when we started trying to do that, and both of them were sitting down, and we're like, okay, okay. You said, well, no, you're not going to get there in a day. Keep trying.
Mm-hmm.
Today, they both free stacked
Yeah.
and did it beautifully. I mean, Virgil is amazing. He looks amazing when he does that. And just every little piece of it, and then when you realize it all goes together, and it is
Remember what I said?
so
I said,
good.
don't worry about the little things.
No,
I mean,
no.
it's gonna happen. You don't have to have it perfect.
That hit home to
recognize
not be
what's really-
negative too.
Yeah.
To not be negative. Don't.
Yes.
Because that was huge yesterday when you said, I forget what it was, and I responded, and you said, no, you're being negative. Don't be
Mhm.
like that. You just, recognize what a great accomplishment she just did.
Right.
Okay.
It's like a lot of times when I have people that have breeds where they have to have a tail up. The dog will go around
Yeah.
beautifully, and the thing that they're focused on,
Is
the
the
tail
tail.
was down. Well, who cares?
Yeah.
It's gonna come around.
Yeah.
And you praise and support, and it just all of a sudden it's like a light coming on, like day 3 today.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's what the patience. The other thing we teach in the class. You've got to have patience.
And repetition. Do it 3 times.
3 times, exactly.
And recognize
Really,
how much
truly.
the body language is so important
Oh.
to the communication with the dog.
So subtle.
And
Yes.
how again, just constant self-awareness of where your body is in space and how what it's communicating.
You're only going to get out of this program what you put into it.
Yep.
You know, I give you the tools, but if you go home and you don't practice the head straight, you don't practice using, you know, the entire system, if
Yeah.
you want to, like, well, I'll do this, but I'm not going to do that. You know, it's just not going to work. It's just the way it's designed is you have to use the whole system.
You just said something hugely important that I didn't mention, but that was with Annie, the head straight. You demonstrated that the first day and the method that you use. And while at first you feel like you've got too many fingers and
Right.
thumbs and everything isn't working, bing,
Yeah.
she stopped
got it.
twisting.
She
She
got
just
it.
drops in. And you're like, okay, that works.
Okay, I want each of you individually to give a message to yourself that is going to assure you that, you know, if something starts going wrong with a dog, if you get a new dog or you run into a problem or whatever, what's going to be something that's so important that's going to put you back on track from this training program?
For me, what I just said, head straight. That's going to be a huge starting. I see that with my other dogs that I have shown over the years, and that is something that would have helped tremendously. So head straight for me is going to be a key, and hand movements. Getting those perfected,
And body
getting those
language.
down, getting those perfect. I will be good to go.
For me, it's visualizing and focusing and being right there at the time and with exactly what the task at hand is and optimizing everything. So the showmanship, the hand movements, the relaxation in my body and being in the awareness of what my body's doing and the connection with my dog, you know? So, and not losing patience with myself.
Yeah, I want you to talk about Eric as the trainer and the class the 3-day class that you took. You know, what were some real big highlights that you loved that you couldn't get anywhere else, and what are some things that you'd like to see different or some changes that would help people out in the future?
I loved going through the system and learning, and the fact that you were so systematic in, for instance, you've got to win the coming in, you've got to win the down and back, you've got to win each segment, and the judges, that education of knowing that particular piece of information and keeping it, being mindful about it was so super useful. I think the only thing that I would say might be emphasized or underlined a little bit more is that rules of 3. And so, for instance, what I got out of your demonstrating, when for instance, I just couldn't get it, and you demonstrated yesterday when you were taking Virgil out there, and you said, "Oh no, you did it again." You know, just that demonstrating of working with him. He's made, you know, he hasn't done what we wanted, but cheerfully bringing him back again and again.
Right.
So not only is my being able to see you do the work with him was really useful to me, and it wasn't just a
Like
matter
today
of my being able to. I can't see myself until I go look at these videos exactly what I'm doing wrong or right. You can tell me that looked great, and I kind of feel when it's working. But when I can learn more quick, I'm a very visual person, so when I watch you do it, it kind of falls into place for me. At least I feel more confident in what it is I'm supposed to be
like
learning
today
about.
when he was crabbing and I took him and he gated straight. I showed the importance of that low hand position.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Good.
I like that as well. When you would you didn't do it so much with Annie, but
Mhm.
if I had an issue and would say, okay, I don't understand, and then you would say, watch. You seem to get
So-
what it is with the other, with the person, that
Right.
what it's going to take. And for me, that's what it was. When you
Mhm.
said, look at your watch, bing, okay, got it. It's going to be hard for me to criticize you because even
It's not
yesterday, well, I'd like to be
critical.
mean. Yeah, I'd like to be. Yesterday, you were a little harsh, but I
Mhm.
think you have to be, because by God, we got to get it. We're here 3 days.
Yeah. I don't have 4 days. I don't have 5 days. I got 3 days
That's it.
to give you your money's worth of knowledge to
Yeah.
go back and be happy, successful, win, make sure
Yeah.
your dogs and you have great communication. So, sometimes just like with the dogs, I mean, if you're wishy-washy with them,
Oh,
then they're going to that's not that important.
yeah.
And so sometimes with you, with the people that I'm teaching, not you in general, but I know I have 3 days to teach you this information.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't bring out the whips and chains or anything, but I'm going to make sure that you're not going to get away with.
No, I mean,
something.
yeah, you got us good a few times, which we needed.
But I still
and-
gave you
and
hugs, though,
Yes,
too.
yes. Well, and what was huge for me, which I got from the very beginning, was
Mhm.
yes, we're your clients, but you were so concerned about the dogs. There's potty breaks, there's play breaks, there's all these things. So they poop and they peed. Okay, they're dogs.
Right.
Clean it up.
Yeah.
And that was huge. It wasn't like another class where you have to act like, oh, gosh, I hope they don't pee. Well, they're
No.
puppies on top of it, and it's going to happen. So I thought the whole thing was great.
Well,
I've
good.
learned a tremendous amount.
And that makes me
Ditto.
happy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're a
and-
great teacher. Not just saying that because we
Aw.
are on camera, but you are we both said that, from the
obvious.
get-go.
That was obvious on the
Huge.
videos that we saw before we came.
Well, good. So I just
Yeah.
confirmed it in
Yeah.
person then.
Absolutely.
And we had a great time going to dinners. and-
Yeah, we've gone to dinners, great pizza at lunch.
Oh, the world's best pizza.
God, I ate 2 pieces of lunch. All right, let's go show dogs. What?
Maybe a lighter lunch.
Maybe
Let's
lighter
go that
lunch.
practical.
I know. I was like getting ready to solve lunch myself after Giuliano's. Giuliano should be dinner, not
Yes,
lunch.
I know. I was just saying that was funny.
Note to self. Note to self.
Yeah, that was
Note
funny.
to self. And another thing that I'm just not quite sure how I want to do yet, but I'd like people, if they're going to fly in from different parts of the country or different countries, I'd like them to be able to experience a little bit of either Portland or Seattle. And as you coming in here, what would you suggest? What would a like maybe a day where we just like saw the local area or something like that? I know it's like
It
That
takes
would've
away
been
from
great.
our teaching time.
it takes away from
But
your
if you had a
teaching time.
chunk of the day, if we
Mhm.
started earlier than 10, for instance,
Right.
maybe.
That's
Right.
what
I'm
I was
just
gonna
thinking
say.
about it. If you started at 9 and went to 1,
Mhm.
just kind of straight through, and then
Mhm.
took an afternoon.
And even bring
That
the
would-
dogs.
Yeah.
Make it part of a
Yeah,
training.
that,
Yeah.
yeah,
know.
because I love bringing dogs to different places.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I think
Yeah.
that would be great. Then
Yeah, that would be good. See, and the other thing too is like I try to design this in such a way that where you learn, we're not starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, and most of the time we're not ending at 9 o'clock at night, except for the one day. But I like to give you guys your own time, so it's like when you learn something, you immediately get a chance to practice it
Mhm.
without me present.
Mhm.
So, that's why I like to start sometimes a little bit more like 10. People think it's because I want to sleep in, but.
Actually, the 10 o'clock start time is great because it does give you that opportunity.
Right.
You can go out and the grounds here are nice.
Yeah.
There's grassy areas, which
Yeah.
I need for my girl.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, you can go out and practice. And, yeah, I appreciate that. But if we did
Annie's,
start.
Annie's listening.
She
Very
has, well, from the girl who would not go potty on a lead.
Oh yeah, and she's potting on a
She's
lead
pooping
now.
and peeing, so
That's
by Joe.
awesome.
Yeah.
stretching
Yeah.
with pride right now.
She's like,
So-
yeah.
That's right. You didn't trust me, but I
Silly
learned.
goose, yeah.
All right,
she did
guys. Well, I'm going to pop this onto your hard drive too, and then that way you'll have this, and you can go back 6 months from now, a year from now. You can look at this. I'm going to try to send you up home with as much of a big arsenal of tools that you can have, and
Yeah.
then I want you to email me your winners photos and all these big wins, and
Yes,
and
we will.
and when we decide that we breed, then I want to see puppies and all those things there. And then I give you the option tonight, since see, what time is it right now?
Let's see, it is 4:30.
4:30. We can go grab a bite to eat together, or
We have a
Yeah.
bottle of wine to
We
drink.
Oh,
And
we
we
got a-
like it. We were thinking
We've
of
got the good bottle of
we
wine.
were thinking of
Ooh.
Applebee's for
Okay.
It's
dinner,
close.
and they would bring we would bring the bottle of wine.
yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel
Okay,
about
that sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that, and we will make this our final. Give me a big hug there. And a big hug there.
Big hug.
Because remember, I hug my friends
I
and
know.
I shake the hands of my enemies. That's a wrap.
Hey, you guys.